Now, the first misconception is that witchcraft and Wicca are the same, and that is not the case.
Hello, my friends. So this is a video response to Maria Isolde. She did a video, which I'm going to leave a link to it below. It's a lies about witchcraft concept of Wicca being a form, Wicca being stripped of witchcraft and only relegated to a religious practice by some people. Now, even though I have a strong opinion about a lot of things and I'm outspoken on them, when it comes down to it and you put my feet to the fire, I'm an individualist. I don't care what you believe, what you do, how you practice. I don't care about any of that. As long as you don't interfere with the lives of other people and cause harm, anything like that, I don't care. I really don't care if you worship a Barbie doll or the great cantaloupe. I really don't give a fuck. A good analogy is, let's say, the color purple. Now, the color purple is an additive of red and an additive of blue, and you mix those together and it's purple. If you take out red and you keep taking out red, then the purple begins to go more towards a blue-violet, and at some point you're going to take out so much red that it's no longer purple. Now it's blue. Same thing, if you keep taking out blue, eventually purple's going to go towards red-violet, and you're no longer going to have blue, you're going to have red. It is the same thing with various traditions within witchcraft. If you practice, say, a form of witchcraft which is based on Cecil Williamson's writings, and you begin to change it and alter it, at some point it's no longer the Cornish tradition of witchcraft. It is now something else. And it's the same thing with Wicca. If you take something out of Wicca over a certain period of time, you no longer have Wicca, you have something else. There's nothing wrong with either one of those. But it's no longer what it originally was. It's now morphed into something else. That's very important to understand. Now, I mentioned Cecil Williamson because he is one of the frontiersmen of witchcraft.
This is Cecil Williamson's scrying mirror, a magic mirror that he used for divination, and instead of being made of silvered glass like a conventional mirror, it's made of black glass. And so you gaze through it like you would a crystal ball and see visions that will answer your questions. Wise women and cunning folk would use mirrors to do that.
Cecil Williamson, the original curator of the museum, was a practicing witch.
And to be quite blunt, there are a lot of people back from the early 19th century who practiced a form of witchcraft, which was not Gardner's form of witchcraft. So these people contributed to the discussion and the development of various witchcraft traditions that were not related to Gerald Gardner. Gerald Gardner was one of the individuals who practiced his form of witchcraft. And if you put any of these people together and you looked at their practice, you would see similarities, and then you would see differences between these two. It is the same thing with Gardner's witchcraft. Gardner is just very well known because he was out in the public, he was making books, he was being interviewed, he had articles written on him, so he got a lot of attention and a lot of press. That form of Wicca, witchcraft, began to branch off, and especially when it came to America via Riemann Buckland, a lot of people began to adopt and take on this term of Wicca and run with it and change it and adopt it and do all these various things with it, where now it just turned into this huge industry. So you'd go into your local Barnes and Nobles or an occult bookstore and you would see, nothing but Wicca, 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 Wicca. And maybe over in the far corner you can see like one book that's been sitting there for a long time, and it's something about witchcraft. It's probably like, Mastering Witchcraft by Paul Husson or something else that wasn't Wicca. So it's still a form of witchcraft, which is very important for people to understand, even though it's rooted in Gardner's form of witchcraft, which became known as Wicca, because people took that format and just ran with it and used it. There are plenty of people who practice, they celebrate the Sabbats, they celebrate the equinoxes, they celebrate the solstices, they give tribute and worship and honor the old gods, they talk about the mythology, they look into the folklore, they look into the customs and the traditions, and they kind of want to reconstruct maybe what the Irish practiced, or the Saxons practiced, or the Gauls practiced, or the Welsh, or the Scottish, or whatever, the English. So there was another group, and these were like neo-pagans, or polytheistic pagans, or Reconstructionists, or they're just borrowing and using parts of that, and then borrowing other elements from other traditions like Buddhism or Hinduism or whatever, and kind of morphing and creating their own thing. But they're not necessarily witches. They're practicing a form of paganism. Now, witchcraft itself is the manipulation of magical energy. That is what it's known, and that is how it is today. You can look at other traditions throughout the entire world who maybe they don't have the same term of, they don't have the European term of witchcraft, but they have another term like brujo, which means witch, and those people practice witchcraft. They manipulate and change through magical energy, or at least this is what they believe. That's what European witchcraft is. It is the manipulation and shaping and change and use of magical energy. If you take that element out of witchcraft, it's no longer witchcraft. Now it's something else. So that's what I'm talking about, is if you take the witchcraft out of Wicca, it's no longer Wicca, and it's no longer witchcraft. It's now some form of paganism. And there's nothing wrong with that. But that is not Wicca, and it's definitely not witchcraft.